Turn it over to Mrs. Harrison.
Thank you, Mrs. Woodward. So we like to start every school board meeting by featuring students and just celebrating the incredible things that you're doing in our classroom. So we're very excited that you're here. And Mrs. Harrison, if you want to introduce our friends that are here.
So thank you for the invitation. And at Maple, we work diligently on making sure that all the kids understand the importance of having a growth mindset. And then we teach them all at the beginning of the year about metacognition. So that thinking about your thinking so that you know the way you learn and can become a better learner. And so we have 7 students with us here tonight. Some of them have chosen to share with you personally, and some of them want me to kind of share their story. And so we practice a little bit. And then I also want to thank Mrs. Brown over here, who has been a tremendous help. I invited her to come with me tonight to help me select the students because she's always at my door and she'll say things like, do you need a celebration? Or do you need a giggle? Or do you? And so she is just really, really an expert at getting kids to a place where they feel confident, know how they learn best, and so that they have academic success. And so we wanted to celebrate that with you all tonight. So I'm going to start with the students who kind of wanted me to celebrate. So Dominic, come on up here with me. This is Dominic Farrell. He's been with us since 3rd grade, and he has been a hard worker. And I told his mom I was so glad when she could come because I was like, it has been such a pleasure to watch his journey. And so Dominic has worked really hard in reading. He has, on some of his iLearn checkpoints, he's gone from like a 5313 to a 5396. He's really good in math. This year so far, he's passed he's been proficient on both his unit tests, and he is only 14 points away from proficient on his checkpoint, and I bet you $100 that by the time he takes opportunity to, he will be there. So we are just beyond proud of this child and his growth since he's been at Maple. Okay? All right, Mateo, come on up. You stand out there with me. Oh. This is Mateo Roland Rubio, and he has a superpower. He is one of our ML learners, and so he, last year, got a 4 in reading on his WIDA, so that was one of his goals, and he did really well. He is really thriving using his text-to-speech. He loves working in small group, and he uses a reference book. Mrs. Brown will tell you he is an independent problem solver, and when we talk about that growth mindset, he exemplifies that every day, don't you, Mateo? So, and he's our only 3rd grader here. Everybody else is a 5th grader, so he is really, really brave to be here tonight. Bryson, come on up. Bryson is new to Maple, and so he has adjusted to Maple. He is working on improving in reading. He is a stronger math student. We have seen some great growth on his checkpoints, but what he's learning about that's going to take him far in life is executive functioning. So Bryson, what's one thing in executive functioning that helps you be a learner?
Organization.
Organization. So he's learning about organization, his notebook and things, and so that is really helping him. And then Gwen is working hard on becoming what she calls a real reader. So she is using that metacognition to respond to reading and writing. She's had some great growth on her checkpoints as well, so we are proud of her. Okay, now the next 3, yes. Thank you. All right. Okay, and then the next 3 wanted to share with you themselves. So let's start with Kate.
I'm a better reader because I use metacognition to achieve academic success.
Good job. Yes. All right. And Grant is new to Maple. He is truly gifted and he has adjusted well. He is learning the importance of being ready to learn and responsible for his own learning. So Grant, tell him a little bit about what you do for that.
I use sensory stops to refresh my brain and focus in school to achieve academic success.
Aiden, he's working hard in writing, so tell him a little bit about what you're doing.
I use speech to text to help with my academic success in writing.
Giving them the tools they need to be successful and of making sure that they are becoming advocates for themselves, especially our 5th graders, right? We have a little bit more work to do. All right, and Mrs. Brown is here with us tonight too.
Yeah, we are just so proud of all of our students at Maple, but I want you guys to give yourselves a round of applause because you're working really hard and you're very dedicated. So thank you so much. We're really proud of you.
And it takes a lot of courage to get up and speak and just be in front or be spoken about, right? In front of the school board and the superintendent, right? So yes, so thank you for the invitation and providing a Maple memory for all of us.
Well, that was awesome. I was kind of not hoping to go back to school today, 2 weeks off. You agree with that? But had I known I was going to get to see smart kids talking to us and telling us how they're achieving, I probably would have gotten up better today to come in and see you all. And we really feel that Maple is a really special school. On Saturday, I was at Ghouls and Goblins. Were any of you there trick or treating? You were? Okay. And a lot of kids came over to me, and I was Mario, and they were talking about their Avon school, and I said, "Where do you go to school?" And almost every one of them said they went to Maple. So Maple, yeah. So hit up your friends. They've got a lot of candy that they got at that event. But we are always just so proud of you for doing day in and day out what keeps you learning and growing. And I like that growth mindset and just being aware that school is very important and that you're excelling at that. So thank you for being here. I want to let my other board members talk to you too, but thank you so much for being here.
Well, Dominic, Mateo, Bryson, Gwen, Kate, Grant, and Aiden, thank you. Thank you very much for presenting to us. I don't know if any of you have ever presented in such a big room before with a bunch of people dressed up staring back at you, but you did a wonderful job, so thank you. Also, I love to hear the stories about reading and how much you've been improving on reading and gains on reading. Of all the many great skills that you're going to learn in school, elementary school and then middle school and then high school, reading is near the top because it's something that you will do as an adult each and every day. And it really leads to a boundless opportunities to see parts of the world just on pages. And it will make you smarter and brighter and you'll understand other people well. So keep after that reading, okay? I mean, I love you, and I hope you do too, your math and your science and your social studies, but reading is really the key to so much, okay? So keep after it, and again, thank you for sharing.
And that's great advice.
You're welcome. That was very nice. I would like to also thank your students for being here and Mrs. Harrison and staff members. It's always fun to see and hear all your academic successes. The little guy here, I like how you talked about writing. That's hard for some kids, I know. And have you had to do essays and all that stuff yet? Yeah. And it's sometimes hard to think what you're going to write about and how you're going to say it and punctuate it and all that. So I'm glad to hear that. Everyone else, you're reading everything pretty cool. So thank you for that. I got a couple questions, and these will make you happy. What'd you guys do over fall break? Anything exciting? Yes, sir.
Can I go up to the mic?
You sure can.
I went to Disney World.
Whoa. Wow, that's a microphone answer. You are right. Anybody else like to share? Yes, sir.
I ran to my cousin's house.
Ooh, all right. Anyone else? No? Everybody stayed home then like me? Yeah? No? Okay. I got another question. Are you real happy you're back to school today?
I mean, I'm tired.
Yeah, that first day's, yeah.
We have that really start.
But so I got some, I didn't get any no's, did I?
Didn't get any
Today, there were lots of smiles coming in the door, and when I visited the classrooms this morning, it was as if we never met. They were going.
That's good, yeah. Would you like to introduce your parents? Who's
yes,
ever?
I would.
All right, you.
So I have my dad right here in the suit holding up the phone.
My dad right here.
Thank you for being here, Dad.
His name is Troy.
Troy, okay. Thank you, Troy. Anyone else? I want y'all to introduce if they're here.
Yeah, go up.
That's my dad over there holding the phone also. And his name is
okay.
Arthur.
He's taking pictures of you. There you go. Anyone else have parents here? Yes.
Mom in the orange shirt.
Hi, Mom. Thank you.
Heather.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, sir. Come on, guys. Come on up. Thank you, Mom and little sister.
What's her name? Oh, God.
Yes. Well, anyone else?
Mateo's coming.
Yeah.
My mom in the brown jacket. Her name is Maria Fernanda Rubio.
All right.
My dad.
Thank you, Mom.
My dad is right there, and his name is Moises.
Well, thank you. And parents, if it wasn't for you supporting the students and the staff members, they wouldn't be standing up there. Oh, nobody wanted, is there somebody here? Okay,
Gwen's got her sister.
okay.
Is that your sister or is that your mom? Oh. Who's that? Oh, her aunt.
Oh, Aunt. Okay.
That was your sister. She's so young.
But thank you, students.
Yourself here, but
Thank you, staff members, and mostly thank you, parents, for all you do for Avon Schools.
Thank you for coming to visit us today. We always love to start off with students and hear about your guys' success and some of the big things that you're working on. So keep working on all that, and I'm sure we'll see you guys up here again soon. So thank you.
I echo what my other board members have stated. Some of the things that you mentioned are things I didn't learn in school, and I used to be an elementary teacher in this district, and they were things that I didn't teach then either. Executive functioning skills for organization, my son could really use that. Your metacognition, like I had to listen really carefully when multiple of you said those words. Sensory stops, the speech to text for writing, wow. And just the way you're presenting yourselves. And Mateo, thanks for representing Maple third grade.
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming, especially on the first day back from fall break. Keep up the good work. You're doing great things, and we'll hope to see you again. Okay, thank you. That is pretty. Thank you, Mrs. Harrison. Yeah. Megan Brown. Yeah. Okay. That was fun. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is public comment. This is the portion of our board meeting where we allow our public to make comments, keeping their comments to 3 minutes or less and not mentioning either students or faculty by name. Do we have any public comment?
No, we do not.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to item number 4, the 2026 budget adoption. Mrs. Glass, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mrs. Woodward, and good evening, board members. Before we put motions on the floor, the board has worked very hard over the past 3 months and made significant progress toward adopting the 2026 budget. In August, we held a budget working session where I presented the proposed 2026 budget. This presentation included the budget calendar, our financial status, legislative changes that could impact the 2026 budget, details on the budget advertisement, and an overview of the budget process. The budget hearing was conducted on September the 24th, during which I presented the proposed budgets and any updates to those proposals. This hearing also provided an opportunity for public comment. Prior to the budget hearing, the board received detailed line-by-line budget information for review. In both those presentations, we discussed the advertisement of Avon's budget at a higher budget amount due to unknown variables such as NAV or net assessed value appeals and uncertainties regarding Senate Enrolled Act 1. In addition to property tax caps, there are other protections in place for our taxpayers, including maximum levies and maximum tax rates. It is important to note that today's budget adoption is not final. We can always reduce amounts before the final approval. While we can advertise higher amounts, approved funding cannot exceed those amounts determined as maximum. What is advertised is not final, and what is adopted this evening is also not final. After the adoption, everything is reviewed by the Department of Local Government Finance, and then a budget recommendation is sent to us for a final review. Once submitted to the Department of Local Government Finance in December or January, everything then becomes final. At every stage of the process, the budget and tax rate can be decreased, but at no point can anything be increased beyond what it was advertised to our taxpayers. This conservative approach is why we advertise high. We can always go down, but cannot go up. Historically, Avon has lowered the tax rate before final approval. Our board has been fiscally responsible, reducing our tax rate by 21.3% and the referendum tax rate by 32.1%. We can only collect what we need. The resolution to adopt the 2026 bus replacement plan. State law requires that the school district have a 5-year bus replacement plan, and that plan be adopted annually. This plan reflects our anticipated bus needs, but can only be implemented if we receive sufficient funding. I recommend your approval.
Thank you, Sheila. So on the bus replacement plan handout, there are a total of 9 buses that are planned for the year 2026. And so when would we pay for those buses, and when would those buses be delivered?
That's a great question. So we would have to, depending on the funding that we would receive, if we received sufficient funding in 2026, we would request for the purchase in 2026, but the lead time may vary. So it depends on when what time they can actually deliver the buses. Sometimes if we do it in 1 year, we won't receive it to the next year. But that we have purchase orders on our books stating that we actually purchase those or request to purchase those buses in the year according to what our bus replacement plan states.
Okay. And then moving on through the next, because it is a 5-year plan, what we really are taking action on would be the 2026 ratification of the bus replacement plan. In the following year, 27, there's an additional 4 buses, 28 anticipates 9 buses, et cetera. But every year, we will have the opportunity to revisit what we have projected for years 27, 28, 29, and 30 at this time.
That is correct.
Okay.
And we also can amend in the current year, just like we did in 2025.
Okay.
Do we know how many buses are not going to be used coming up, or are they all okay right now to use?
To my knowledge, they are, but I can ask Dr. Finley.
Okay, I was just curious to see, is these 9 new ones, they're going to be not replacements, as you call it, but they're going to be X'd on the road with all the others?
If we purchase those in
Okay.
2026, they will be replaced.
Okay, okay, I got you. I was just curious. Thank you.
And if you look, the buses that they would be replacing are 2007 and 2008s. So we're talking about buses that we have driven now for 17 or 18 years. Typically, in the old days, it used to be 12 years was the span of a bus. And just with property tax impacts, and of course with Senate Enrolled Act 1, a 12-year bus replacement cycle will never happen as long as we're in this current environment. So our transportation department is really good at getting additional years and additional miles out of our buses out of necessity.
I never see very many on the wrong side of the road.
That's a good thing.
Very good.
I had one other question. Several years ago, we took advantage of propane as the vehicles that we were purchasing, and I just never knew what the outcome of that is. Do we believe that, what is the most economical bus? And I realize that there's 84 passenger buses, 66 activity buses. Is there a most economical type of fuel to use?
Right now, for us, what we've found, the diesel buses are a little more hardy. They tend to stay on the road longer. We've had some challenges with the propane buses. The propane may be a little bit less expensive, but they're difficult to keep on the road. We're doing a great job with that. I know that the diesel buses, I think, are the preferred buses at this point.
Okay,
So moving
Thank you.
forward, we'll continue with diesel.
yeah, that's good to know.
And I also think some of those propane incentives that existed a few years ago when we did that, I don't know that those are as prevalent as they used to be. So I think some of the incentives of trying propane aren't in the same form that they were when we started that.
Okay, thank you.
I wanted to just clarify more for public information. No referendum funds go towards what we're discussing.
That is correct.
And then when you mention if sufficient funding exists, can you explain that?
Yes.
for public knowledge?
So we are required to, for our operations fund, we are required by state law to create not only a bus replacement plan, but also a capital projects plan. And that is for the expenses that are in the operations fund. Because of property tax caps in Senate Enrolled Act 1, we don't have sufficient funding. So when we say sufficient funding, that is mean that we have the funding to actually purchase buses or equipment.
I did have one more general question. When you submit, the action that we take tonight, as you indicated, is not final.
Yes,
There is a review by the DLGF, and you indicated that the DLGF would be back with us with questions and/or ratification in December. Is there a maximum time the DLGF can contemplate our budget?
Yes, and so we have 10 days from their response. So they will review, and they have up until, I believe, December the 31st to actually respond to when we submit it to them. But then in return, we have 10 days to respond to them, or whatever we submit to them, that is the budget.
I see, okay.
And to their credit, they have gotten better.
Yeah.
Several years ago, we would be well into January
Yes.
before we were getting budget information about that current year. And so now they have gotten better at getting us information, if not by the end of December, early January, that we then have a final budget very early in the year, which hasn't always been the case.
Yeah,
The last 2 years, it's been right before Christmas, or that Friday, or that Saturday.
And the 10 days start. They don't care about Christmas, do they?
No.
Real quick, I just wanted to add something about bus drivers. I was going south on Dan Jones about 3:20 today, and there were buses backed up, clear almost to my mom and dad's around the roundabout. And of course, the high school kids are coming out that way. And those poor bus drivers, they are so patient. And I didn't see any kids beating up each other or anything on the bus. But they're so patient, those drivers. So I want to thank them for that.
Board members, I'll entertain a motion on the bus replacement plan presented.
I move that the Board of School Trustees approve the resolution to adopt the 2026 bus replacement plan as presented.
Second.
Motion by Sarah, seconded by Jennifer. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Sheila. We'll move on to item B, which is the resolution to adopt the 2026 capital projects budget. Mrs. Glass?
State law requires that the school district have a 3-year capital projects plan and that plan be adopted annually. This plan reflects anticipated projects and capital equipments that exceed $10,000 and can only be implemented if we receive sufficient funding. We work closely with Dr. Finley and Mikey Rollinson in a strategic capital projects plan. And I recommend your approval.
And I would just add to both what Sheila has shared about the bus replacement and the capital projects plan. With Senate Enrolled Act 1, most of what is listed here will not be able to happen.
Right.
There will not be sufficient funds to replace buses. There will not be sufficient funds to do much of anything that's on the capital projects plan. Our operations fund is going to be heavily hit, about $4 to $5 million come 2028, where every dollar in the operations fund is going to have to go to people, custodians, bus drivers, the people that are paid out of our operations fund that keep the district going. These kinds of things, capital projects, we will have to most likely turn to debt issuances for, which we have had to do in the past. When you think about even purchasing buses, purchasing technology infrastructure, purchasing equipment, that is an allowable expense out of debt service. And districts like ours that are heavily residential and heavily impacted by property tax caps, the only way we've been able to keep our operations going is by leveraging our debt service fund to do some of those things. And of course, the legislature has also impacted our ability to do that. So these plans are always interesting to look at, but they really are a exercise in futility because most of what's listed here, we won't have the funds to complete because those dollars have to be prioritized to people.
Good point. Board members, any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion on the capital projects fund.
I move that the Board of School Trustees approve the resolution to adopt the 2026 capital projects plan as presented.
Second.
Motion by Mike, seconded by Cindy. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Item C is the resolution to adopt the 2026 budget. Mrs. Glass?
Thank you, Mrs. Woodward. As I had spoken before, or stated before, the board has worked diligently over the last 3 months to get to this point. This resolution approves the budget for the education fund and the budgets and levies for the referendum, the debt service, and the operations funds for 2026. Budgets, again, will not be finalized until reviewed by the Department of Local Government Finance in December. I recommend your approval.
I think it's important every time at this present time that we're mentioning the word referendum that we clarify. This is our existing 2018 referendum that is contemplated in this budget. I'll entertain a motion on the adoption of the budget.
I move that the Board of School Trustees approve the resolution to adopt the 2026 budget as presented.
Second.
Motion by Jennifer, seconded by Sarah. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Item D, Mrs. Glass, the resolution to transfer amounts between the Education Fund and the Operations Fund.
Thank you, Mrs. Woodward. House Enrolled Act, or House Bill 1009, required transfers to occur from the Education Fund to the Operations Fund and the Operations Fund to the Education Fund. This authorization allows our corporation treasurer to transfer an amount not to exceed $13,159,758 during the calendar year of 2026. I do want to state that in our budget workshop and our budget hearing, the transfer based upon our budget between the funds was only $8 million. So this 13 million is the maximum amount that we could. However, when budgeting, it's only $8 million, $8,160,000
And the 13 million is arrived at as a percentage function of what?
of the revenue in the education fund.
Thank
So
you.
we cannot transfer over 15% of the revenue in our education fund to the operations fund.
Thank you.
Just again, for public that might be wondering why in the world do we have to do this? This is all state law that said, you know, if you think back a few years, we used to have a general fund and we used to have a transportation fund and a capital projects fund. And now the state said you have to have an operations fund, but they can't change the way that schools receive the revenue. So Sheila has to make transfers for positions like custodians, like payroll, human resources, bus drivers that are more of the operations, not tied to the classroom. And so Sheila has to look at all those expenses that have to be paid out of the operations fund and make sure that she transfers enough money over to the operations fund to be able to pay those employees. So this is all a function of our legislators' attempt to make school finance increasingly complicated, and this change took effect in 2019. That really changed all of the accounting functions that our finance office and Sheila has to do to make sure that our staff are paid out of the right pots and there is sufficient money in each of those pots to meet those expenses.
Yes, thanks for clarifying that. I've never asked this question, but as a practical matter, do you do transfers between funds on, the school corporation pays biweekly? Is that true?
Yes, we pay
Or semi-monthly?
biweekly.
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 So you're not doing a one-time transfer of these funds. You're either doing it on a pay cycle or per month interval.
It's a per month interval, and it's
Okay.
based upon the state tuition that we receive.
Yes,
Now,
okay.
Each quarter, though, I do create a report. I calculate how much are those actual expenditures. And each year, it has actually been the 13 million. However, I've been having to scale back those transfers to ensure we have sufficient funds in our education fund.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I think I understood that. So you true up at the end of the quarter, and together it has been about this $13 million amount?
Yes.
All four
However,
quarters?
we've never transferred that amount.
Right, yes,
Yes.
okay, got it. Thank you. Board members, I'll entertain a motion on the transfer amounts between education and operations fund.
I move that the Board of School Trustees approve the resolution to transfer amounts from Education Fund to the Operations Fund as presented.
Second, motion by Mike, seconded by Kim. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Moving on, the resolution authorizing the investment of public funds. Mrs. Glass?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Woodward. This resolution is approved annually and allows us to competitively bid our certificates of deposit outside Avon's boundaries. I recommend your approval.
I move that the Board of School Trustees approve the resolution authorizing the investment of public funds as presented.
Second?
Motion by Cindy, seconded by Sarah. Is there any discussion about this item? All those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Item F is the investment income resolution. Mrs. Glass?
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Woodward. We have receipted investment income in our general education fund, allowing it to be expended in ways that most closely aligns with or supports our students. This resolution allows $100,000 of investment income to continue to be received into the education fund, with any income exceeding $100,000 to be received into the operations fund. In 2026, I recommend your approval.
I just had a quick question. The 100,000, where did that come from? How did we come up with that amount?
So when we first started doing the investment, that helped offset some of those one-to-one devices that we had before. And so that still helps us offset some of those curriculum materials we don't get reimbursed for from the state.
And we've tried to always prioritize these funds for things that are more one-time expenses, because this is great when interest rates are high,
Yeah.
but then interest rates come down, and then all of a sudden you're not earning as much. And so Sheila's exactly right. We decided to earmark some of that for technology, and then the rest going into the operations fund to give us some additional support in that fund because of property tax caps. But we've never wanted to bank on this money for salary purposes, because eventually the interest rates will drop.
What is our 2025 anticipated investment income?
Anticipated?
Because you'd have to project the last 2 months of the year.
So for total in 2025, our investment income, 1.5 million in the operations fund.
1.5, okay. Thank you.
And then in the education fund, 100,000. That's the estimated amount.
Yeah, yes,
Our interest rates have gone down, though.
exactly. We were enjoying high return for a very short period of time.
Sheila, I have a question.
Yes,
Is
ma'am.
this where the book rental difference comes out of?
N-
This one? No.
No,
Okay.
no,
Is it on one of these? I was just curious.
no.
No, oh, it's on a different thingy then. Okay.
Well, I mean, it's accounted for in
Baked
the
in the
education fund.
education fund.
Okay.
So in that way, when you approve the education fund budget,
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
it was
It is.
rolled into there.
okay.
But you don't, there's not a separate resolution that the
Okay.
board has to
I didn't
pass for
know
that.
since it was
No.
being kind of new.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
I'll entertain a motion on the investment income resolution.
I move that the Board of School Trustees approve the investment income resolution as presented.
Second?
Motion by Jennifer, seconded by Sarah. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Item G is the resolution for appropriation reduction. Mrs. Glass?
Yes, our approved appropriations, they exceed what we actually spent as a result of property tax caps. So we advertise an inflated tax rate due to all of those unknowns we talked about before at the time of our budget. This resolution permits for appropriation reduction of the operations fund for budget year 2025 to assist in more accurate budget in 2026. This change does not impact our expected 2025 expenditures or revenue, but rather attempts to reduce our 2025 appropriation to a more accurate level based on anticipated expenditures. I recommend your approval.
Board members, any questions on this item? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that the Board of School Trustees approve the appropriation reduction resolution as presented.
Motion by Sarah, seconded by Cindy. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Item H on the agenda is the 2026 budget transfer resolution. Mrs. Glass?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Woodward. This resolution allows the Chief Financial Officer to transfer budget allocations throughout the year. This action is recommended annually, and I recommend your approval.
I move that the Board of School Trustees approve the budget transfer resolution as presented.
Motion by Jennifer, seconded by Mike. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Sheila, I don't really think we can adequately thank you for the amount of effort that goes into our budget preparation every year. But this year in particular, I know it has been grueling. There's no other word to describe it. And on top of all of that, just all the many other areas that you've had to assist in and magnificently really just maintained us as we go through this school year. And I sincerely applaud. You've come a long way, you know? You always were highly talented, but every year this process just gets more and more smooth, and that is because you pay attention to this all the time. So thank you.
Thank you.
Sincerely for all of the hard work and effort, and just understanding Avon so well, and being able to guide us through a maze of financial requirements that the state really imposes on us. We owe you a debt of gratitude. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you.
Board members, any other items before we adjourn? Then we will adjourn the meeting at 6:11 PM. Thank you, everyone.